Okay, we're in a fairly nice wine cellar, but what I'm looking at here is why is there so much movement in the brickwork? And you can see here there's a gap there in the back, and if you have a look, there's another gap there, and indeed down the bottom we've got movement, and these gaps are quite. So it's another one there, and so on. So what's actually causing all of this? Again, another one there, and you can see that that's lifted considerably. It hasn't there. You can see that little joint is fine. That one's lifted, and we've got another crack there. So what's actually doing all of this? Well, in answer, very simple: metal. And if you have a look here, you'll see that there is rusty metal. I think we can try and just zoom on that a bit, and you'll see that that is rusting metal, which is expanding, and it's jacking everything. And there are also cleats in the wall which go into this rear wall that this wall here is attached to, and of course they're all rusting. So wherever you get one, in fact if you look there, you can see the top row of bricks has come off, and you can see that rusted metal cleat, and of course that's actually affecting the wall as well, where it's pushed into the wall. And then here it's completely pushed the thing out, and there's a bit of metal just in that joint. That one's even worse. You can see the entire thing's just broken up. And what's the problem? And again, there is the problem. Great big chunks of rusty iron. So the whole building is blowing apart. I can't actually see where the iron is in there, but there's a bit of a lump of iron in there. So as we progress, let's have a look what else. What else do we need to be? You can see here we've got rusty metal again in the cellar, starting to jack all sorts of things. We've got a series of steel plates here, and again they are jacking. A little bit of movement above those, but as we get into the main cellar down here, we have a problem, because this cellar does not have enough ventilation, and this is, you can see here, salts coming through on the wall. Not very good at all, and these salts are causing quite a lot of problems. Now I think you can see, if I run down here, you can see there's a crack, and there's bits and bobs going wrong here. And it would appear that that vertical bit of brickwork is actually separating, and the reason it's separating is because rusty iron, and in fact that joint at the bottom, hey presto, it's the back of a hinge. And if you look at the other side, you can see there's a very little crack at the bottom, and that crack gets wider and wider and wider, so it's quite wide, and everything's causing a bit of a problem. And then you look at this and you can see where there's been an old hinge, and if you look at the back of it, the back of that hinge is expanding, and as that iron expands and gets bigger, it's literally pushing the brickwork out of place. This is obviously a very old place. This is mid 17th century. In fact, it may be this part of it. I think it's probably earlier than 17th century. I think it's probably 16th. The town that we're in was actually burnt to the ground by the Royalists during the Civil War, so we think that a lot of this is actually rebuilt. I suspect that in there may be a tunnel going actually out under the street towards the castle. But anyway, that's irrelevant. We've got a lot of work that's been done here recently, and they put iron girders in. Now, I absolutely hate seeing iron girders. This is one of my pet hates. And you can see, if you look along here, there are great big cracks in the wall. Everything is jacking up and moving. And the reason those cracks are in the wall is, I think as you can see, the iron is jacking them. So we've got a considerable problem down here actually with this. This is you can see everywhere you look, these stone flags on top of the girder are actually being jacked up, and you can see considerable movement. That crack there is not good. Wherever you look, you've got the same problem. If you look up there, you can see cracking in the wall, and so the whole barrel vaulted cellar is being pushed upwards by that. Absolutely. Let's give you a better view of it. There you go. Just rusty iron that's expanding and cracking it. And again, these cracks coming down. I don't know what somebody's done. They've stuck some cement in here for some reason. Again, cracking to the wall here. It's not very happy, and there's a reason. A lump of iron. So wherever you get these lumps of iron, you get a problem. If we continue to look around, I've actually seen, I think there is worse. You can see here there's a crack, and that crack comes round, it's jacking this wall. There's the crack. You work your way around. Oh no, yeah, okay, we've got a rusting iron bar that's caused a, I don't know, 6-7 mil wide crack in the masonry, and the same on the other side. So this is not very happy. And if you come in here, we start to see the same thing yet again. Rusting metal. There is a little bit of ventilation in here. There's got ventilation fans, but funnily enough, they're not working. And I think you can see on there the condensation on the steel. So we've got a cold piece of steel with water on it, so of course it's going to rust. And it's a big chunk of steel. and there's a lot of rust around it, and it's jacking. So this is probably one of the best examples I can show anybody of the hydraulic effect of metal, steel or iron stuck in a wall somewhere and jacking it. And everywhere you see a crack, somewhere associated with that crack, I think you can just see a little bit of cracking there at the back. The closer you get to it, you can see a piece of iron sticking out. So, not very good. I do like the fireplace. I think that's rather magnificent. That's very old. I think this is medieval stonework. It would have been here long before the current building. I think this is a much older part of the building, which probably survived the town being burned down. As you can see, after it was burned down, you've got much later beams. These beams are all Georgian, probably not much later. There's a very narrow chamfer on the corner of them, so they're probably Georgian Victorian, but that is much older. So I think that's given you a bit of a breakdown of what causes these problems. We've got, again, you can see what's actually water running down the wall here, so we've got a lot of moisture getting in this building, and figure out what's causing it. Dripping and running. Bits of iron, all sorts. Rusty old cast iron pipes and things. Not very nice. And the bottom line to all this, better ventilation. So you've got a chunk of iron there. And if you stand back from it, you can see the brickwork cracking. Another piece of iron there, look. Brickwork cracking. Not happy. So there you go, it's a bit of a case history of making sure that you don't allow ironwork to rust. You must keep areas like this properly ventilated, otherwise the iron rusts and you get major problems. So that's not very nice. So there you go, we come back out to sort of drier, better ventilated area, you know. And you've got so many problems.